Today, friends, I'm going to show you how to take an image, bring it into Tinkercad, and trace it with Sketch Revolve. So let's get cracking. We're going to start our journey today at my Patreon. You can get here quickly with the bit.ly or a link in the description. Right now, we're visiting as a free member. Now, on this side right over here, we've got chats. I do want to quickly highlight, if you choose a membership, you can use direct messages. If not, you can use these group chats. We're going to go down and find one. We want this one by Amber. And I want you to understand that to learn about what's in here, you've got to click it. I'm going to show you Dory's project first. Bang. These are all her replies. This is the button to add replies or images when you make a post. Same thing with Amber's. She has this project right here asking how to bring in a file so that you can trace it with Sketch Revolve. I've given her some tips. You can see them down below. If you wanted to join the project, you just add your replies down here. A common mistake is that people add replies here, which is really starting a brand new post. Once again, all available to free members. Of course, there are bonus ones available if you choose a membership. All right, so let's solve the project. The first thing I did was download her image. Then I went to pick SVG. I uploaded that picture and I went through the different settings and I picked the one I want. If you just look at these edges, they just look a little bit different. I chose edge number 3. Usually I use the internal ones, but I didn't like it for this because there was less there. So once again, edge number 3, and then I downloaded that SVG. I'm going to just keep the silly name and hit save. Now you need to visit Tinkercad.com. You can simply choose sign in with Google. It's absolutely free. All your designs are saved to the cloud. You can make 3D designs, circuits, or code blocks. Today we're going to make a brand new 3D design. I like to name them first. We're going to simply go up here and type Bell. And then we're going to move to this side of the project and we're going to import, choose that file. Once again, it was in the downloads. I kept the silly name and notice it is huge. Now Tinkercad can take up to 2,000 millimeters. I don't want that. I'm going to just do 200. When I press enter, it auto does it. I did forget to hit art though. I only want the art. Once again, 200 and press enter. And let's choose import. You do need to wait a moment for it to arrive, but bang, there is the outline of our shape. Now we need to stand this up to trace it using the cool Sketch Revolve. So we're simply going to rotate it with this handle right here. Notice every click is 22.5 degrees. You can also hold down shift and each click is 90. If you come outside the blue line, it's 1 degree at a time. Once again, there's our 90, click, and then hit D to drop so it's up at the top. Now I want to line this up. You can see this dotted line that is center, and I want to have it on one of these grid marks. I'm going to set this to T for transparent so we can see through it. We're going to get it close. Notice I can't get it perfect. I'm going to set my nudge to off, and that does micro nudges. You can see we can get it really close to the exact center of one of those points. If we look at it from this way, you can see that is good as well. Now I'm going to put my nudge back to 1 millimeter, and we're going to bring out the Sketch Revolve. Once again, we want to line this up. Now this has a 20 by 20 grid. Notice that vertical line is straight up and down. So when we click it, we have got an exact image of our bell. Now, if you've never used Sketch before, check out the Sketch features. This is full of amazing tips. It is updated all the time. It has animations and it has all the things that you can do while you're working with Sketch. Once you're done learning, you can simply hit continue to Sketch to return here, and it's always available if you want it again. If you prefer my tutorials, I have got a Sketch playlist. You can find it with the bit.ly or in the cards. So we want to trace this design. Notice it's showing a 3D version, so really the bell would start right about here. I'm going to set my nudge to 0.1 so that I can get pretty close to the shape. And instead of a straight line, I want a curve, so I'm going to press number 2. I'm going to click, and then I'm going to click, hold, and twist to match that turn. Up here, once again, I can just click. Notice it already had a similar shape. And I'm going to tell you that the fewer of these that you make, the smoother your design is. I'm going to just get as close as I can and then come back and edit. Every time I get to a spot like this, I can click, hold, and twist. Now, when you want to turn more sharp, so that when that bend is not really what I want, you can press number 1, go back to your straight lines before you do another curve. Now, this is a tiny groove in the project. So I'm going to do number 2 to get to this spot and bend a little bit. And then I'm going to click over here and bend a little bit. And then I'm going to go back to my straight one. There's my number 1 to move up. And then right here, I'm going to make that little groove again. You can fiddle with these as much as you want. I'm not going to fiddle a lot because I don't really need to print this design, but you can see I'm just trying to follow those designs all the way up, and then we want to finish right at the middle. Once we're done with that half, we simply hit escape, and if you look over here in the preview, we have just made a bell. How cool is that? Now I will show you editing when we double click these. Now if you look at this, right now my bell has got a thick line. It's 2 millimeters thick. I'm gonna do 1.2 millimeters. I just like that number for walls while 3D printing. And then instead of a smooth corner, notice those handles are connected. I'm gonna hit number 3 to make this broken. That lets me bend these separate. And then see how this corner is kind of sharp? I'm going to go in here also, and I'm going to make these corners rounded. That'll smooth it as it goes around my shape. I can grab these points and change my nudge. Once again, I've got that 0.1, so I can be more precise than I was initially. If there are a lot of points I want to switch to number 3, once again, in edit mode, I can select all the points and hit number 3 as well. You just have to go through and then adjust them to do exactly what you want. 3. If the dimensions are ever in your way, you can shut them off right here. There, that's following that curve. I like that one a little bit better. And once again, you can be as precise as you want. I'm not going to worry about it because once again, this is not my bell. I'm just showing you how to do it. You can make it look perfect. I'm going to simply hit finish sketch, back out, so we can see the bell that we made in just a couple minutes. How cool is that? Once again, cool curves. Even though I did not make those perfect, they turn out pretty smooth. I do want to remind you that you can bump up the sides to make the design more precise. There is also a quality sizer you can bump up as well. I'm going to make this a custom gold and call it complete. So a quick review, of course, we found an image, we turned it into an SVG, then we imported it, stood it up, and we were able to trace it. Of course, we also highlighted how the Patreon messaging area works. Don't forget when you're doing a reply, click on the post and then the replies are to the right. I do want to quickly say thank you to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 different levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Also a massive shout out to my Patreon group. Love how that group is growing. We are past 275 members and the messaging area is bonkers. You can ask questions, gain skills, and get support in minutes. Of course, you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget every time you hit that like button, hype button, or share a video, or add a comment down below, and finally hit subscribe. You're helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day, and keep tinkering.